Hello guys and welcome to another video. Today we're gonna be talking a little bit about games coming out in 2024. On that topic, I hope you had a wonderful first weeks of the year, that you can achieve everything you set your mind to, and I have a lot of content prepared for you this year. So be sure to subscribe and let's get right to it. So today we're gonna be going through a list of games coming out in 2024. I have a bunch of games prepared. They're all in chronological order, so no favoritism here, even though I'm gonna be talking a little bit about one more or two games in specific. So let's get right into it. At first, we have Outlast Wept. This one kind of went under my radar, but as soon as I started researching, I found it out. And to be honest, at first I thought it was kind of like a old Zelda style, like the Minish Cap or Link to the Past, but it really took a turn real quick. Some of the creatures are really creepy, no eyes, just the smiling faces. Probably can see it on the trailer. And the music is also kind of macabre. The narration didn't help at all, but it just helps to further enhance the experience of the game, right? It kind of went into the Undertale vibe, not only vibe, but also combat. As you can see, the combat seems to take a lot of inspiration from Undertale, also with turn-based combat. It actually seems like a pretty good game. I might try it out myself. So be sure to check out Outlast Wept, coming out in January 17, or maybe it's already out for you. So go check it out. Next we got Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. This one actually got me excited. I first saw it in the Game Awards last year, and I ended up looking more into the game. And it seems like it has those cool Metroidvania mechanics where you're gonna be able to explore around the world more freely and find upgrades that are gonna allow you to explore other areas of the game, and also change combat around and give you new mechanics and new ways of exploring and playing the game, which I feel is pretty awesome. It gives you freedom to find your own play style. I think, I'm not 100% sure. I've seen some gameplay, but I can't be 100% sure, right? But it seems pretty cool. I was very afraid that the combat was going to be very slow and not very fluid, but it seems actually pretty good. I've seen some gameplay of it, and it's solid. I feel like playing the game already. Besides that, the game is it's pretty. It's very well stylized and very well put inside of this world. So I am actually kind of looking forward into playing it. It also has a very fast play style that keeps you always on the edge with those platforming, and also the combat. The boss fights also seem pretty cool and challenging, which is always nice, you know? Put yourself up to a challenge. Anyway, Prince of Persia is coming out January 18th, so if you like it, go check it out, have a look, play it for yourself, watch some gameplay, and let's move. Next, we got a one that has a fond place in my heart. I have fond memories of playing Tekken in the past, and also recently with a very good friend of mine. But what can I say? It's Tekken 8. We've been waiting for Tekken 8 to come out for a while now. Tekken 7 has come out almost 10 years ago now, in 2015. So yeah, man, it's updated Tekken. Like if you like fighting games, if you like complex mechanics inside of a fighting game, it might be the game for you. It has a lot of spacing around. You have to be very careful how you use your moves. It's a complex fighting game that is looking amazing, absolutely freaking amazing. Imagine like an actual anime inside of a fighting game, more realistic looking. That's Tekken 8, man. You gotta try it out if you like those fighting games. Just come on, just look at King's veins. My guy is looking huge. Look at him. Crazy, baby. Anyway, Tekken 8 is coming out in 26th of January. We're just close by, or already released for you. It's definitely a long-awaited game. It has very complex combat systems here. It has a very good entry barrier for anyone who wants to play it, but it has also a very, very high sky ceiling for those ones that want to grind it out and actually get very good at the game. So try it out, Tekken 8, coming out soon. Next in here, we have Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. This one is the 9th installment of the Like a Dragon series, and it's also a direct sequel to the last Yakuza game as well. And let me tell you, at first, I didn't know what to think about this game because I kind of thought it a bit of as a joke game. I knew it was related to Yakuza, and I know those games, they have a bit of a, like, comedic side to it, but also with serious things. So I was kind of expecting the same, and I got it. It's pretty spot on. This one actually seems pretty cool, and I want to play it for myself. It seems like a very cool game. It has very different play styles depending on where you are. The game is divided in two main locations, Honolulu in Hawaii and Dondoko Island, right? Dondoko Island, exactly. And those two feature different play styles. While you are in Hawaii, you're gonna be walking across the city and looking for missions and enemies. You're gonna, just normal, they're gonna have HP gauges over their heads, levels, and basic RPG. Turn-based combat in this case, but it has a very nice twist to the turn-based combat where all your characters, they have like a small radius inside their turns where they can move around, and depending where they are, their moves are gonna affect the enemy in a specific way. They're gonna push them in a certain direction, get more enemies because of the area. It seems pretty cool. I like that mechanic a lot, and I think a lot of other turn-based games could also adapt that into it because it's just makes it a lot more dynamic in a very stuck play style without actually making you have to dynamically do something all the time. It's really cool, very nice feature. And for Dondoku, it's almost a different game. Combat is not the same anymore. It's like a brawler style. We're gonna be actually beating up enemies. And it also has a lot of Animal Crossing thing, you know, because you're gonna be clearing up your island, getting materials both from the island in Dondoku and also from Honolulu. You're gonna unlock new materials and get materials from there. And you're gonna build up your island as a very nice 5-star resort. Literally like Animal Crossing. And it seems really cool. I definitely want to try it out. Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth is coming out really soon in 26th of January. So keep an eye out because this game seems really fun. Or maybe tune in my stream because I'm definitely gonna try it out. So yeah, let's move on. Next on the list, we have Grandblue Fantasy Relink. I have been a Genshin player for quite some time now. And yes, you can judge me because of that. But nonetheless, it caught my attention because, well, it has that Genshin vibe. And I never really played any Grandblue fantasy games. Grandblue series. But this one caught my attention because it was more dynamic. And ever since playing Genshin, the dynamic of changing between characters to combo off each other felt cool, and it's very nice to play around, but it got boring. I got tired of it. And Grandblue Fantasy, it seems like it took a little bit of a spin, even though you seems like you have a party of 4 or 5 maybe. All characters are on the field all the time, and that's awesome because you see the combos happening, you see the characters helping each other, just like you have in multiplayer Genshin. But this one is a single player experience, so who knows. I got pretty excited about that part, and the world itself looks awesome. It's very well crafted and has very cool locations. The characters are also pretty cool. They seem pretty cool, and the animations are very crispy, and the combat seems very good. So I am looking forward to Grandblue Fantasy. And now for an old classic remade, we have Persona 3 Reload. Persona 3 Reload is a very nice step up from Persona 3 the original. We have not a lot of new elements, you know. You can actually move around the game as a game and not just you know, picking out the locations you're gonna go through, which is awesome. You know, it gives it much more of a gamey vibe. And you know, combat hasn't really changed much from Persona 3. It's basically what you would expect from a turn-based combat. With a few new additions, they took a little bit inspiration from Persona 5 Royal Time, I think. And I'm not quite sure on that. And they added new special moves for characters in Persona 3, just as new interactions, new iterations. It's also updated graphics and maps and iterations. So it's a much more rounded up game, I would say. Persona 3 was already an awesome game, but the reload, it just makes you want to dump those 100 hours into getting to know all the characters around again. So it's definitely a game to keep an eye out if you already are a fan of the Persona series. If you're not a fan of the Persona series, it's also a very nice game. It's very rounded up between sim-like, where you make friends and you live the life of our main character, just as it is a very nice RPG on the combat side. And it's definitely a game that you should look out if you like JRPGs and if you are a fan of the Persona series. So Persona 3 Reload is coming out on February 2nd, very soon. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever watched Starship Troopers? You know exactly the one, that 97, 96 movie with the huge bugs and the jokes about Nazi things, and yeah, that's exactly the one, you know, shooting bugs everywhere, swarms of monsters. That's the one. So if you ever thought about how it would be to actually leave out Starship Troopers, don't ask yourself no more. Helldivers 2 is exactly what you've been waiting for. This game, it just seems very fun. When I saw the trailer, I was like, man, I can't wait to just get some of my friends and just shoot some bugs, you know, because it's exactly what you're gonna be doing. You're gonna drop out on expeditions or missions with up to 4 players, I think. I don't know if you can have more than that. And you're gonna be going through missions to kill swarms of bugs. And I'm not talking about small bugs, okay? I'm talking about the mid, big, and colossal sized, where you're gonna have to drop a ballistic missile to kill, you know? That's the one. So yeah, Helldivers 2 seems really fun. It's a third-person shooter. It's just that arcadey thing where just you don't have to think too much about it. You're just gonna be going down there, just killing some mobs and having fun with your friends, trying different weapons, upgrading what you have, trying different loadouts, and it just seems like a very good time to spend by yourself or with friends. So Helldivers 2 is coming out on February 8th, so if you just want to have a good time and shoot some bugs, you know, Helldivers 2, check it out. I'm gonna see you out there on those planets. Next coming out, we have Last Epoch. If you already know Last Epoch, you know the game has already been out to play for, I don't know, like 2-3 years, maybe even more. But the release is finally coming out on February 21st. It's very soon. The thing about Last Epoch, I think it tries to find like a mid-ground between like a very casual experience, which was Diablo 4, which, let's be honest, didn't actually hit the spot, but it was a fine game. And you have the very technical and very in-depth PoE, and both are very extremes of the same genre, you know. And even though both can be fun, I think something in the middle ground would be also really good. And I think Last Epoch is trying to fill that void, you know, because even though you have complex crafting systems, you don't have it as complex as it is in PoE, and it's a more, you can have a more casual experience with the game as well, while having a lot of fun. This game feels really good. I've played it myself a few months back. It just feels pretty good to play. The ambientation is really nice. The style of the game is really cool. The skills are awesome. The way how the progression of the game goes feels pretty good as well. If you are also a fan, you should definitely try it out. Even more now with the release. I know a lot of new stuff are coming out. The systems are gonna be way more rounded up, so it's definitely a game to try out. Last Epoch is coming out on the 21st of February. Next one is kind of big. Pretty much anyone who likes JRPGs is gonna be into it. But it's Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you don't know, this is a continuation to this Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's the second of a 3-part series that's gonna come out. I don't know when, but the third one is gonna come out one day. If you have played Final Fantasy, you have an idea of what to expect. If you played Final Fantasy VII, you have a pretty good idea of what to expect. But nonetheless, Final Fantasy Remake already looked amazing, and it was a very worthy remake. So this one is also definitely gonna be good. Square Enix is a very reliable company, and Final Fantasy has been a huge series, a flagship series for them, so they're not gonna screw up on this one. There are also rumors that there are gonna be some changes to the story. I heard something about Aerith not dying, but who knows? Who knows? Not only that, but the game looks awesome, the characters are amazing, the world itself is super well crafted. Again, Square Enix is also always doing a great job on that part as well, just like we saw in Remake. And this one is probably going to be looking maybe even better, since it has been I don't know how many years already. Anyway, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is coming out on the 29th of February, very soon, so watch out for that. If you are a Final Fantasy fan, that's definitely one you want to check out. If you're not a fan, this is also a very good game. It has solid story, but you gotta start on Remake first. Okay, let me start by saying I'm not into horror games at all. This is not my genre. But I did play a lot of Dead by Daylight, and I had a lot of fun playing that. And the Outlast Trials is kind of another spin to that formula. It's not a PvP game like Dead by Daylight and many others like it. This one is you alone or up to 4 friends in trying to escape a hospice as hostages or survivors or patients. But this one seems like actually a pretty cool experience. It has already a lot of gameplay out there, so if you are thinking about getting the game, definitely go watch it, go take a look for yourself before you buy it. If you feel like playing it alone for an extra side of trauma, you can definitely do that, but the game is very hard and it's very punitive, so whenever you mess up, you're definitely gonna get your ass beat back to you. Maybe write me out what you think about the game, because I'm definitely not playing it. The Outlast Trials is coming out on March 5th. Be sure to try it out, and let's move on. I wasn't really expecting to talk about this game in here. This one goes out for the RTS fans, even for myself. We're gonna be talking about Homeworld 3. Game coming out after 21 years after Homeworld 2. If you like RTS or spaceships, you might want to keep an eye out for this one. Homeworld 3 is an RTS set in space, where you have these huge, insanely big motherships, structures that serve as mobile bases. And one thing that really took my attention is that they claim to render accurate ballistics in where each shot matters. And I was looking into some footage for the game. I found some gameplay online for people who had a chance to test the game, and it seems actually pretty accurate. Like, when your ship gets shot, it gets shot. Like, it's no joke. And that's for every ship, which is crazy because there's a ton of them. Okay? And even though Homeworld, it seems like it's a very story-heavy game, it has very good mechanics for you to play with your friends. They even are introducing a new game mode called War Games, which take a lot from roguelike games that came out in the last few years, and they added into a RTS vibe where you're gonna be clearing through waves of enemies and getting upgrades after each wave, where you can play with up to 3 friends. Seems pretty cool. And Homeworld 3, man. Can't believe this game is coming out. If you are an RTS fan, this is definitely one to check out for you. There hasn't really been a lot of good RTS games that have come out in the last few years, at least not to my knowledge. But keep an eye out. Homeworld 3 is coming out in March 8th, so watch out if you're an RTS fan. Homeworld 3. Okay, now I want to talk about the game that I'm most excited about this year, okay? It's Dragon's Dogma 2. The game is coming out in 22nd of March, which is really soon, and I'm really happy about it. So Dragon's Dogma 2 is a continuation of Dragon's Dogma 1, which is an RPG, a JRPG to be honest. And this one is actually a little bit different. After I saw the trailer for Dragon's Dogma 2 last year, I picked up Dragon's Dogma 1 to see what's the game actually about. It's a different spin of the formula, you know, because you have set areas that you can explore with your character, and you have pawns. The pawns are NPCs that follow you around. You can pick them out. You can choose their classes, and you can see their stats and skills that you're gonna have. So you can have a mage that's gonna be more of a healer, or a mage that's gonna be more of a DPS, and you can have a warrior that's gonna be more tanky or more damagey, and so on and so on. I'm not gonna dwell too much. You also have special classes, which I'm gonna be showing also here back in the trailer, and they look amazing. But not only that, the pawns, even though they are AI, at first I was expecting them to be really limited, and they wouldn't really help that much. And in the first game, you also have pawns, but they're actually really good. And in the first game, they were already really good, like in the way they assist you. Because the thing about pawns is every player is gonna create a pawn that's gonna follow them around, and that pawn is gonna acquire experience of going through the game by going through the game. As you play the game with your character and your pawn is gonna get more knowledge. And if someone else takes your pawn into their adventure, because he already went through many of the areas that you already went through, and that guy is gonna go to the first time, he can give hints and help the guy better find his way through the area, or find treasure, or be careful about enemies. And that's just one little detail that's already so good and huge and different from things I saw in other games. And not only that, but the combat is much slower. It's a more it's not as fast-paced as other games, so every attack kind of counts. And not only that, you not only have the mechanic of just attacking your enemy, you know, you can deal with situations in other ways. You can see here in the back of this trailer, they deal with a troll by throwing him down a damn river, you know, or you can climb your enemy and attack his weak spots if you know what your enemy is weak to. That's normal in game tropes, but you can just climb your enemy if he's huge and stab him in a weak spot, and he's gonna be weakened because of that. And each fight counts. Like when you have a big monster, he has a very big HP gauge, even though it's a little bit too big sometimes. It's fine, you know, you feel the fight go on and change, and you take the opportunities that are presented to you. And not only that, you have your pawns that are constantly helping you through the fight as well, which always feel great. And the world itself is very expansive and big, and Dragon's Dogma 2 is looking absolutely amazing. There's nothing to complain about how the game looks. The effects are awesome, the creatures are amazing, and the animations. Capcom always manages to get animations down to a dim. Like, a lot of people like to sometimes criticize and say that it's looking kind of sluggish, but I always say try it out first, because Capcom games, they feel really good to play. I'm a huge Monster Hunter player, and I know the game can sometimes look clunky, but when you play it, man, it's a very mechanical game that's very rewarding to get things done correctly, you know? So Dragon's Dogma 2 is a game that I'm really hoping it's gonna be one of the huge games of this year. It's one of my front runners for Game of the Year. Like it's maybe my favorite for Game of the Year for this year. I really have high expectations for this game. The story for Dragon's Dogma 1 was really nice. I had a very fun experience going through the story and going through the RPG elements in general, you know, just upgrading my character, getting new skills and crafting new stuff and getting new equipment. All the RPG elements inside of the game, they're very nice. They're not overwhelming, and I hope Dragon's Dogma 2 nails it down too and expands even more upon the success of the first game and the good qualities of the first game. So let's wait out. Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming out on the 22nd of March. And man, this game is gonna be a doozy. Let's go. So if you got into here, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you really liked my content, leave a like, leave a subscribe, comment down below if you want me to talk about any other games more in depth. I would love to hear your opinions, and I would also love to talk more about games in general. So keep an eye out, subscribe, like, and Xar out.